Hello, my friends. Leo Babalta from Zen Habits here, and today I'm going to give you my simplest guide to decluttering, to getting started decluttering, because we're not going to declutter your entire life in one go. I'm going to talk to you about the methods that I believe are most effective at getting started in decluttering your life. So I'm going to talk about the whys of decluttering. I'm going to talk about some of the things that often get in the way, and then how do we actually cut through that so that we can get started and start to clear out our lives. I'll give you a little bit of background in me as well. So I personally am someone I've been decluttering and simplifying my life for nearly 20 years actually. I think it was probably around 2005 when I started. So as I record this video, it's about 20 years ago, which is crazy. But yeah, I started decluttering. I started simplifying my life in many, many ways. I became a minimalist. I did a video before on the truths about minimalism, but I consider myself a minimalist in a lot of ways. Not every way. I'm not perfect, but in general, I'm a minimalist. And so I'm an expert. I've written books on decluttering. I've helped many, many, many people declutter their lives in terms of physical possessions, in terms of their calendar, their time, but also digital life. How do how you do work, all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about physical clutter in this video, but we can always do further guides on other kinds of clutter if you'd like. So if you want me to talk about clutter more and there's specific things that you want to ask about or specific topics you'd like me to do a video on, put that into the comments. I'd always love to hear from you and what you actually want me to create. So let's talk about physical clutter today. So why? Let's talk about the why first. Why clear out physical clutter? And the answer is you don't have to. You definitely don't have to. There is actually nothing wrong with having clutter if that's the life you want to live. But for a lot of people, having a lot of clutter all around us really stresses us out. And so I found for myself, having a clutter-free house, a clutter-free life really feels less stressful. It just feels nice. I can sit down and relax and meditate in a room that is decluttered. I can read. I can spend some time with other people. And my life is not 100% clutter free. I can see a little bit of clutter over there that I need to deal with. But for the most part, it is just clear and it's just so nice. Our house in general is clutter free except for my kids' rooms. Which we have them close the door so we don't look in there and look at all their clutter. But all the other rooms are pretty freaking clutter free. Even my garage is um, pretty decent for a garage. I'm not saying it's perfect, but definitely living room spaces, kitchen, bedroom, our bedroom, hallways. They're like, free of clutter, and it's really, really nice. It's just a nice way to live. Um, another thing, another reason for the why is that we start to accumulate clutter because we are compulsively shopping and just buying and buying and buying, but without getting rid of everything. And so it just becomes this kind of um, it's a symptom of a lifestyle of acquiring and consuming without reducing, without dealing with things. So it's kind of putting things into piles and this, I'll deal with it later. And then these things that we are avoiding deal with start to pile up all around us. And that becomes really stressful. But that's actually probably how we are living most of our lives is we are acquiring, consuming, bringing things in kind of compulsively over time as out of habit without actually dealing with things. We're avoiding in so many areas of our lives. So decluttering is a way to actually start to take that on, to say, hey, I actually want to start to deal with these piles, deal with the stuff that's accumulated over the years that I've been meaning to get to, and finally deal with it. So these are some of the whys. We could go into more if we wanted to, but these are my whys. You might check in with yourself. What are your whys? Maybe they're different than what I've just shared. Maybe you have other reasons. Maybe you're like, my mom died and left a ton of clutter for me to deal with. I don't want to leave that for my family when I die. Maybe, decluttering will help you to use spaces in ways that you've been wanting to. Maybe you've been wanting to do some yoga down there, but it's got all kinds of boxes and stuff, and you can't do any yoga. You've been wanting to like, you know, do other kinds of exercise. Maybe you've been wanting to like do some crafts or hobbies, but everything is so full that you can't do it. Maybe there's other things that you've been wanting to do with your life, but you can't. So check in with yourself. What is your why? Okay, so before we go into the how, let's also talk about what gets in the way. The first thing is actually overwhelm. Number one thing that gets in the people's way. We're overwhelmed with all of our clutter, and there's just so much of it. We don't know how to actually get started. So that's what we're going to deal with in this video is how to get started. But overwhelm is something we want to identify as actually a really big issue, a blocker. So overwhelm is probably the number one thing getting in the way for people. Another one is they don't actually know how to deal with the objects. We're going to into that in this video as well. How do we deal with things once we have them in our hands? Maybe also we don't have a good method. So I'm going to get into that as well. What's a good method for decluttering? Um, Another really big one is other family members. And that's like, maybe it's my spouse or partner, maybe it's my kids or my parents. It's not always my decision and they don't want to declutter. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So let's get into some of the hows because these blockers, there's actually more blockers, but these are some of the big ones to get started with, and we want to like use those to inform the hows. So how do we get started? The first thing is start easy. We want easy. What people do, the mistake that some people make is that they get really ambitious and they're like, I'm going to declutter everything at once, or I'm going to tackle this thing that's really been stressing me out, which is not bad. Like if there's a certain area that really like bothers you, go ahead and tackle that. But maybe there's something about that area that feels really overwhelming or difficult or intractable. And so that becomes a blocker and you're like, this should be the place where I start, but I'm having so much resistance there. And I would say, don't start there then. Start in a place that feels easy. So if it's like my desk, that feels easy. It's just got like 15 things on it. I can actually deal with that in probably an hour. Great. If, you can even just take part of the desk. Say like in the next 20 minutes, I'm just going to declutter this little corner in my desk. If that feels super easy, then do that. If the desk feels really hard, then don't do that. Find an area that feels easier. Maybe your kitchen counter. Maybe your dining room table is full of papers. Maybe you just want to do a piece of that. Maybe it's the area right next to maybe it's your bedstand right next to your bed. So find a spot that feels easy, that doesn't feel intractable and like really, really tough to tackle. A little easy spot. And what we want to do is look for like something that you think you can do it to like 20 or 30 minutes because that's super easy and doable. We want an easy start. And so we want to pick a spot, not an entire area, one little spot. So again, in this desk that I'm looking at right now, maybe there's like, but it's the whole desk is covered. Let me just take a piece of that desk and I'm going to start there. If you're doing your kitchen counter, you don't have to do the whole kitchen counter. Just one little piece so that you can have a little space to start with. And then in terms of methodology, what we want to do, well, we'll talk about how to clear that place, but what we want to do is clear that and keep it clear, and then take another chunk next to it and another chunk. And if we're doing our kitchen counter, maybe over the course of a few days, we start to declutter big chunks of that counter, and then the whole counter becomes clear, and that becomes like this incredible space of declutter. Now, everywhere else in our house might be cluttered, but that one counter, that flat space is beautiful. Same thing with the desk. If you were to start with the desk, start to slowly clear the entire desk until the flat surface of the desk is clear. What we want to do is look at flat spaces. Can we clear as many flat spaces as possible? Dining room table is another one that I mentioned. The floor near my desk, the floor near my bed, the top of my nightstand. And we can do visible flat surfaces, and then we can do the ones that are like in drawers and in closets after. We want to clear the visible flat surfaces first. And again, one little chunk at a time. So 20, 30-minute chunks, and then just slowly start to like expand. As imagine that this little chunk that took you 20 or 30 minutes is like the conquered territory. Now we want to start to expand our conquered territory outward until we have an empire of declutteredness. So that's what we're looking for in terms of methodology. Now let's look at methodology for that one space. Okay, here's what we're going to do. The focus on this video is starting to change. Um, Let me try and get it good. Okay, so what I want you to do is clear a section of the floor. Okay, and when I mean clear, I mean like shove everything aside, stack things over, so you have a nice little section of the floor that's maybe um, as kind of as big as you can hug, somewhere something like that. Okay, I have long arms, so my hug area is pretty big. But we're gonna clear a section of the floor, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take, let's say we're gonna do this part of the desk, take everything on that part of the desk, put it down in that cleared space on the floor. Now, what we're gonna do is we have now a pile of things on that cleared space on the floor. So this is our decluttering pile. What I want you to do is just to take the first item that you can grab from that pile and hold it up. And I want you to say there's only three options with this item. I am going to keep it because, as Marie Kondo says, it sparks joy. This is something that brings joy into my life, or it has a lot of meaning or purpose. I use it very often. I actually like, for the most part, I like to have the criteria, have I used it in the last 6 months? If the answer is no, okay, then I might, I'm still feeling resistance. I might ask if I used it in the last year. And if the answer is still no, then I'm like, I'm getting rid of that thing. Uh, so, but if it sparks joy in your life in some way, go ahead and keep it for now. We can go back to that as a tougher item later. But if you haven't used it in the last year, what's the purpose, right? Like why keep it? So I asked myself, have I been using this in the last 6 months to a year? If the answer is no, then I don't keep it. I put it into a pile of recycling or giving away. So those are my options: keep, recycle, give away. And recycle could be trash. Maybe you can't recycle some items, so you trash it. So I have three piles then outside of the main pile that I'm starting with. And I have a pile of keep, recycle, give away. Now I'm going to do the entire pile like that. Pick one item up and ask myself, have I used this in the last 6 months or a year? And if the answer is no, I'm going to put it either in the recycle pile or the giveaway pile. Now, giveaway, I could give away to family or friends. I could give away to Goodwill, donation kind of place. I could sell it as well if it's something that's really valuable. If it's like $50 or more, I might sell it, list it on, Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. But for the most part, I'm giving away things or I'm recycling them. Okay, so keep, give away, recycle. Um, and I do that for every single item as quickly as possible. I don't think about it too much. I'm like, keep, give away, recycle. And if it's keep, fine, put it in the keep pile. And then at the end of it, I now have three piles. I do that, just don't think about it. Just quickly make quick decisions. Don't ever put anything back on the original pile, and don't let yourself take 10 minutes to think about something. We want to move through this quickly. So now, let's say I finish the entire pile one at a time. I start separating it. Now I have a keep pile, I have a recycle pile, and I have a giveaway pile. So what I do is I get a box and I put the giveaway stuff into the box. And then I go and put that into my trunk. and I'm gonna go and donate that tomorrow, or I'm gonna give it to people who I know, but it's in the trunk of my car. And then the recycle stuff, I go and take it out to the recycling or the trash if it's not recyclable. And then the keep stuff, I'm gonna find a home for it. Now, I might not actually do that right now. If I've already used 20 or 30 minutes of time, maybe I wait until later and I'm like, this keep stuff is going to be my next thing. I'm not going to clear another space on my desk until I figure out what to do with this keep stuff. The keep stuff, what I'm going to do is just say, where is this going to belong forever? Or at least for the next year. So I want to find a home and it always goes there. So for example, if I'm like, this is let's see. This is my coffee cup. Well, my coffee cup always goes in this shelf, right? I'm not drinking it. If I am drinking it, it goes on my bedstand. And I drink it there as I read in the morning. And then when I'm done, I wash it out and I put it away in that shelf. That's its home. Um, so we want to find a home for everything. And that takes a little bit of time. And so you might not actually take this keep pile and work on it in 20 minutes and be able to finish it. You might be like, you know what? I'm going to really try and find a good home for this, but I don't know where that is yet. So let's try and figure out a home. And you can later adjust that if needed. But for now, I'd suggest just try and find good spots for that and say, this is its home. This is where it belongs. This is where I'm always going to put it. You'll get better and better at finding homes for things, but in the beginning, just do your best. Don't have to be perfect. Okay, so now we've cleared out our keep pile, we've recycled our stuff, we put our giveaway stuff into a box and put it into the trunk of our car. And when you get a chance, go drop off that box of giveaway stuff to a charity. Again, if there's something that's, if you have like a treadmill and you're going to get rid of that, put it listed, take some pictures, put it up on Facebook Marketplace, sell that in the next few days. Okay, so as you can see, it's going to take a little bit of time. You have to clear some space, make a pile, choose the things. You're going to have to find homes for the keep things. You're going to have to recycle things. You're going to have to give away or sell things. So it takes a little bit of time. And so that's what we want to do is to start to enjoy this process. Enjoy the process of actually tackling our clutter, of finding homes for things, of clearing our space and then increasing our empire over time. And that actually is a very satisfying process. If you allow yourself to enjoy this process, it's okay that it's going to take a little bit of time. But eventually, what you're going to find is your whole desk or your whole kitchen counter starts to look pretty freaking nice. And that's the encouraging part. Let yourself be encouraged by enjoying the process and then making progress. And over time, you're going to be like, oh, this feels so good. Maybe now I want to spend 2 hours on decluttering my office or my bedroom. You're not going to necessarily finish the entire room in 2 hours, but you're going to make some progress and you're going to enjoy the process and feel rewarded by the progress that you make, even if it's small. Eventually, what you can do is start to move around to different areas of the house and clear this area, clear that area, and it feels so good to start to make progress. It takes a while. It might take months. That's okay. We're not in a sprint here. We're not trying to like get to the finish line as soon as possible. We want to like take our time with this stuff. It came into our lives over the course of years, and it's going to take a little while to go out as well if we take some care with our lives. A couple of things that I want to note. One is if you're still buying stuff, it's going to make things difficult because you're trying to clear things out, but also still bringing things in. So what I really encourage you to do is to do a no buy month. Let's say for a month, I'm not going to buy anything except for food and other necessities like toilet paper and toiletries. But other than that, no new clothes, no new books, no new anything. I have enough. Maybe you do a period of 3 months where you're like no buy for a period of time. Now, I might go into that in a little bit more detail as like how to stop the impulse buy habit. But for now, I really encourage you just stop for a little while, temporarily. Again, a month, 2 months, 3 months, and let yourself have a little bit of breathing room as you start to clear things out. Last thing I'm going to address, and this is not going to be an in-depth um, conversation about it, but other people become a big obstacle. And again, your spouse, your partner, your kids, your parents, whoever you live with. And that's a big obstacle. And so, what I like to do is to focus on the stuff that are yours. Don't try and threaten someone else's stuff. Be like, we need to get rid of all your stuff. No, focus on your stuff. If it's your desk, focus on that. If it's your nightstand, your bedstand, focus on that. If it's your area of the closet, focus on that. And you can talk to them about it as you um, as you work on it. Be like, hey, here's why I'm decluttering. I've got inspired by this dude Leo Babauta of Zen Habits, or I read a book or a blog post, or I watched this cool video that I want to share with you. And it can be really nice to share your journey with someone else. But what you don't want to do is to start to make them feel judged or forced. So we don't want to be like, I need to pressure you into decluttering all of our stuff. So you're like, no, I'm going to focus on my stuff. You don't have to declutter your side, but can you support me decluttering my side? And that's a change for them as well. And so let them have some resistance to it. Let them have their reaction. They don't have to accept that overnight, but focus on what you can declutter for now. Try and get their buy-in on your side, and then talk to them about it. Share your journey with them. Tell them why this is like amazing, and eventually they might come around and want to declutter as well. And in that case, now you have a partner who's going to declutter with you. It can be so much fun. Like, hey, let's do this challenge together. Declutter for 30 days and see what happens. If your partner or family members are into that, then cool. If not, try and just focus on what you can control. Don't focus on trying to change others so much. It's a road to frustration. Okay, any questions about that? Feel free to put it into the comments. If you have questions about, how to deal with some difficult items or anything you want me to focus on in the future, feel free to put it in the comments. For now, I would really, really love it if you subscribed, if you like this video, so that others can help. It can help others to find the video as well. That really, really helps me. Comments really help. Sharing this video with others who could really use it, who might actually be inspired to make some changes in their lives, that can really help as well. I hope this has helped you. Let me know how it goes for you. I'd really love to hear how this start to decluttering your life works in your life. Okay, bye my friends.